we start our next topic. It's a topic on groups and teams. And we all seem to know what a group is because we live in groups all our life. But still, organizations and managers in the company do not use the full potential of group work, and they do not understand the psychological phenomena that are there in groups. So we will talk about this, and I will share my presentation. Just a second to begin with. Where is my presentation? By the way, I have a very funny video. Just a second. Takes time to find it. Well, let's start with the video first. You probably saw this. Just a second. Where is? No. I need to pause this. Just a second. I will try. If there's no sound, you will immediately tell me about this. Yeah. This movie was really very popular here in Belarus. Probably you know this as well. Just a second.
I cannot believe you're going to tell on me.
Is there sound, Esther? Do you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, you said right. Good. Now let me see if I have it, This is the end. Well, team. Just a second. If you are not working as a team, you are fired, and you will be fired as a team. Good. Now let's have a closer look at what a group is, what a team is, and why this is so very important to understand in the course of leadership and in your everyday work, in your everyday life. Just a second, I'm sharing the presentation with you. Okay, this one. Good. So a group. Definition is simple. Two or more individuals interacting with each other in some manner to accomplish a common task. You see a nice group of employees in the picture. So why people form group? Usually I pose it as a question and I expect some answers from my students' groups. But in my doctoral class on leadership, I have just one student and she works a lot. So I will not overload her more with answering my questions. But there are a few good reasons to form groups, to come in a group. We all have our needs, and many of our needs can be satisfied only in a group. Like our social needs to be accepted, to be communicated with, to be liked, to be loved by other people. It can be satisfied only in a group, and many other needs as well. There are economic motives to be in a group. It gives you a voice. It gives you some strength. We see this in politics or in companies, trade unions, some other groups of employees that want to have some changes or that want to have a say. Achievement of goals, most of the goals, many of the goals, can be achieved if there's a group of people working on them. And besides, proximity and attraction. This is something to think about. If you want to form a good group or a good team, you need people being in one place. This is an issue with working online, that there is no proximity. People are in their apartments, they don't come together, and this lowers satisfaction and lowers productivity as well. And attraction, if people like each other, they perceive themselves as a group. And a good group will attract more people to it, because we are attracted to successful goal-achieving organization. Groups and teams. The discussion of difference between a group of team and a team can be simple. Well, groups interact, they have collective norms, collective goals, and have some common identity. The difference of teams, it's again a small group of people with complementary skills who are committed to a common purpose, performance, and they hold themselves mutually accountable. So they feel responsibility, accountability as a team. So the teams have this. They hold themselves mutually accountable. Actually, this is more or less the same, but one more thing that is added here, that a work team has this synergy effect, which means that the performance is greater than the sum of the individual inputs. There's synergy in a group team. Well, groups can be classified as formal. We see them in organizational structure. They are formed by the company, and informal. These groups are formed based on some common interests, or an informal group is formed around a person who is trusted, whom people like, and he emerges as an informal leader. Organizational chart and informal. As an example of informal group can be an interest group working together to accomplish some common goal. And each team member of interest group is concerned with the group, friendship group as well. So what are the factors that can attract people to a group? In decision-making exercise, we discuss the reasons for employee turnover. So if you want to decrease employee turnover, you need to understand what factors affect attraction of people to the groups. Group goals, if they are compatible with your own goals, or when goals are clearly specified, this is a factor of attraction. Leadership is another factor. A charismatic leader, is a factor that attracts people to join the group. Group success, group's reputation. Well, a group that is perceived as a successful is attractive. Other people would want to join this group and to share its success. A group cannot be too large because then the amount of interaction goes down. So it should be small enough so that group members can have their opinions heard, can have their ideas evaluated by other people. And for this, the group cannot be very big. And the level of support, the level of assistance that people give each other in the group is another factor of attraction. On this slide, you see some description of types of teams. It says in your textbook you have these, but and a little bit different. So cross-functional teams unite people from different functions, such as marketing, production, sales, and they come together to accomplish some common goal. Problem-solving team are formed to work on some specific problem, and when the problem is solved, the group disbands. Well, we know about quality circles from Chinese management practice, when in a quality circle, employees together with their supervisors meet to discuss quality-related issues and workplace problems. There's a lot of talk about self-managed team, and many think, well, it's good to have a self-managed team, when a team that does not have a direct supervisor, because it does their day-to-day supervision of their own. You will work with the case, the platform in your exam assignment, and Esther have already done some analysis. So it looks like in that company, there were the so-called self-managed team. Top management team consisting of top management of the company, president, CEOs, heads of department. These teams should work on strategy, on some non-program decision-making. Virtual teams is something that we often have nowadays. It started a long time ago, but in the time of pandemic, many companies had to redesign their work processes and started working by employing virtual teams. This was one of the typology. Well, here, if we look at the 4 kinds of teams, we see different. We see that they are different, but they may have some common characteristics. For example, autonomy to determine objectives. It's low with cross-cultural cross-functional teams, sorry, higher, but still up to moderate with self-managed team, but very high with characteristic teams. You will have to research things about characteristic teams. Autonomy to determine work processes, work procedures. Low to moderate cross-cultural, while high in 3 other types of teams. Autonomy of internal leader, is quite high in cross-functional, low in top executive. So you will look through this to understand the characteristic of these 4 types of teams. We will come back to the stages of group development, and I will explain one good exercise to you a little bit later. Now let's go through, skip this for now. And I will talk a little bit about characteristics of the groups, such as structure. So groups may differ on this characteristic: structure of the group, status hierarchy, leadership, cohesiveness, whether members are close to each other, group roles, group norms, conflict. So all these are characteristics of group that are maybe different across groups. What is a group role? These are expectations of how a person should behave in a specific position. It's socially determined expectation. Well, you know that I'm your teacher, and you expect that I will provide a lecture, I will grade assignments, and such like other kinds of things. My expectations of you as students are that you will show up for the class, you will participate in class discussion, and do final assignment. But this expectation somehow is not realized. It's just one student performs this role as I see it. Other students do not do it. And this is a little bit disappointing to me. There are 3, variants of roles. Expected roles. These are expected behaviors that are linked to the role. The behaviors that are named that are linked to your role as a student. Perceived role can be different from expected roles. This is a set of behaviors that a person in a position, in a role, believes he or she should enact. So probably for our students, for other students, I don't remember, I think I have 6 students in the group. Then 5 other students, no, 10 is excluded. For our students, believe that they should only do the final assignment as students. So their perceived role is different. And enacted role, actually behavior that a person actually carries out. So a role can come in one of these 3 variants. Well, another important psychological phenomenon in a group are group norms. It's important to understand the group norms. And if you are a good manager, you would like to clarify group norms. You will like to understand some informal norms that can be there in the group, and they can really affect behavior of group members. So norms are some general rules of behavior that most of team members follow. There are different kinds of norms. Okay, let's first talk about the purposes. Why norms evolve and why they are important. Because norms express central values of the group. They simplify and make predictable behavior that group members should enact. They make it clear you should do this and you should not do that. So it becomes easier for group members to behave in an accepted way. Norms helps the group to avoid some challenging or embarrassing situations. And actually they help the group to survive. Yeah? Because if someone behaves not according to norms, a group will stop it. The group will punish this individual or even exclude this deviant individual from the group. So these are the four main purposes of groups. Norms can relate to different issues in the group. In a company or in a study group, there's usually performance norm. I see it in students groups of bachelor level, of MBA level as well. So, and you probably see it in your company, in other companies. There may be a norm to perform to do your best, to perform at high level, and everybody tries to do this. Those group members that do not follow this norm and do little, they will be criticized by group members, disliked. Communication with them can be limited because they do not follow this norm. But in some bachelor groups at my school, I see that there is a performance norm. Well, do the minimum just to pass the course. And if this norm happens in a study group, then those students who work hard, who perform well, they are not liked by the group because they are different. They do not follow this norm of minimal performance. Many groups have appearance norms, for example, how to dress for your job. In some companies, there is a very strict dress code, either developed by the management of the company or because of the specifics of the profession, like doctors have to wear a white gown. In people in Belarusian bank, I think in many banks in other countries, should be dressed in some, business manner, not just a t-shirt, flip-flops, Havana shirt. No, they should be wearing a tie, a jacket. In my country, there is a norm that a teacher, a professor should be dressed in a business manner. But when I did my class in a university in the United States, it was a university in Washington state, that part of the United States. I did my class during summer, so every time I look differently from American professors. And looking, if I were in a group, you would immediately see who is not American, because I was, as they said, dressed up, and they will wear Havana shirt to the class, shorts. Sometimes one of my colleagues would go around the university barefooted. So it's a different appearance norm. In a group, there are social arrangement norms. It's who goes for lunch with whom, who goes for, I don't say, a glass of beer after the working hours with whom. An example of different social arrangement norms I have when I was on a visit to a university in Sweden. Most of staff and teachers who were having a class, they came for lunch at the same time. And I understood that social arrangement norms are different from Belarusian University. There, as in Sweden, dean of the department was usually having lunch at the same table as her secretary. In Belarusian culture, probably this will not happen. This will not happen in most cases because the difference in status. The dean, the director, will not be having lunch together with a secretary. He or she will be having lunch together with other top manager. So these are culturally influenced norms. Allocation of resources norms. In a company, there may be a department who gets more money, more resources than other departments. In Belarusian companies, I would say that HR department gets less resources than other departments. IT department gets a lot of resources. Financial department, yeah, but not HR department. So these were norms of in a group. Whether group members conform to a norms or not is influenced by a number of factors, by pressure of the group, by the degree to which a group member identifies himself with the group. If you think this is my group, yeah, you will be following the norms. It is influenced as well by individual characteristics such as intelligence or the degree of authoritativeness. Yeah. Cultural factors, as we said, have big impact on conformity to norms. There are some cultures that really emphasize conformity, strictly following the norms. There are other cultures, remember that dimension of Hofstede, collectivism versus individualism. There are cultures with individualistic orientation, and the norms are not that strict in those cultures. Besides situational factors as well, like size of the group and the structure of the group. So all these influence conformity to group norms. Well, in a group, there are two channels of communication. There are formal communications where we get information from top management. We send our reports, questions to different level of management. And there is informal communication, which is very important because it's because of a number of reasons. It's not controlled by the management. So people are more open here. There's more information going through informal communication. Employees perceive informal communication as a more reliable. And it is used to satisfy the interests of the people in this informal communication, in this grapevine. Well, we already spoke about cohesiveness as a psychological phenomenon. It's an important one. That's why just a few more things on this. So cohesiveness is the tendency of a group to stick together. And the degree of cohesiveness can be different. It's common attitude, common behavior, common goals. They make a group more cohesive. Well, it sounds that cohesive group is good, but not always. If a group acts against official goals, and this may happen, you might want to decrease group's cohesiveness. So how do we change? How do we alter? What did I do? Sorry, but this is a wake up for students and a scare for me. So to increase cohesiveness, you need, as a manager, you need to develop an agreement on group goals. Again, well, change the group composition. If you make the group more homogeneous, more or less same age, gender, skills level, it's easier to develop cohesiveness. Scary. Frequency of interaction among group members. The more people interact with each other, the more cohesive group becomes. Size of the group, yeah. In a smaller group, there's more interaction and the potential for development of cohesion is higher. Physically or socially isolating groups from other groups. This works well. There's a number of experiments that show that when a group becomes geographically or physically isolated from other groups, or it's isolated socially, group members stick together more. They identify themselves more with their group, so it works. There's a good example with computers when Macintosh was developed. The group of developers was given a separate building. So they were isolated, at least to some degree, from others. And there were a number of other good things. So the group became really cohesive. Well, if rewards are given to the group, not individually, but to the group as a whole, well, this again develops group cohesion. Groupthink. Another psychological phenomenon which is not good, and still it often happens. So we need to understand this and to be able to identify symptoms of a groupthink. Well, groupthink happens in a cohesive groups, and with a groupthink, the group becomes unwilling to consider alternatives. They have one course of action and they are blind and don't want to regard other alternatives. This phenomena was researched and well described when scholars looked at the behavior of team of Kennedy in Caribbean crisis. The group behavior was clearly characterized by groupthink. So what are the symptoms? Well, the group thinks it's morally better. The group thinks it's invulnerable. Other groups, the opposition is perceived as bad, as morally low, as evil. I see a lot of this in the situation with the war in the Ukraine. So there's a lot of groupthink in any parts of in many countries. Well, rationalization, this is explaining your behavior in a rational way, and self-censorship. People do not say something that will go in disagreement with accepted attitude, with accepted course of action. Even if they disagree, they keep this to themselves. There's illusion of unanimity. We all agree on all. There's peer pressure, again, to do things that have been agreed on. Well, as a result of this, alternative ideas are reduced and information is limited. Information is filtered, and the information that is in disagreement with the accepted course of action, it just does not get to the group. Yeah, it's screened out. What to do? How to prevent? Well, allow criticism. Make it a rule to criticize. You can use some activities like devil's advocate when discussing a course of action. Appoint someone in the group to criticize suggested alternatives. Then it might help to avoid groupthink, and allowing other perspectives to be considered, to be understood. So this is, yeah, a groupthink. Yeah, this is a quick just explanation of what we have already discussed. Yeah, this tendency to moralize is something that is so evident in today's situations with the war in the Ukraine. Every group believes that its own aims and its own behavior are morally superior. Well, as we discussed in the previous topic, with group decisions, there are strengths and there are weaknesses. I will not go through this again. Yeah, we have discussed this above. And another psychological thing in group decision-making is the so-called risky shift, or in other words, group polarization. So decision taken by a group tends to be much riskier than decisions taken by individual. And this is a dangerous thing. It happens because responsibility is diffused. So it's not my responsibility, it's our responsibility, and it's not so scary. Well, when risky decisions are being discussed, group members will want to look strong, to look mature. Therefore, risky alternatives are more attractive. They have some degree of social prestige. Well, familiarization happens as well. As risks is discussed, it starts looking less risky. The more you discuss, the less risky it looks. And the effect, prominence or leadership effect happens as well. So suggestions made by a leader are sometimes accepted without criticism or without full consideration. This explains risky shift. Well, I suggest that we have now probably a 10-minute break. Yeah. And then we will continue. And my only and best student is here as well, I guess. So, Esther, as you're the only student, you will be punished with shorter class today. Is it a punishment or a reward?
Thanks a lot.
On the one hand, it's a punishment because you paid for 4 hours of class. Yeah, so logically, if we think logically, it's a punishment. On the other hand, my students often perceive it as a reward if a class finishes earlier. So it's arguable. Good. Just a few things about on groups and working with groups. And after this, I wanted to do an exercise on group stages. But for this exercise, I need a group of students so that I will name the exercise, discuss a few things, and then if you want, you will practice it on your own because it's actually a very handy exercise to do. Good. Now let's see what we have in my presentation. So, yep, dark. No, not yet. Just a second. You do not see it. Well, I will try again. I will try again this one. Why? It's interesting. It tell you you do not see the presentation. No, Esther? No?
No, I can't see.
No. No, why? Okay, I will start first the presentation here on my laptop, and then I would want to share. Just a second.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, now it's okay. So groups are good, but there's nothing perfect under the sun. So there may happen some problems with a team. I'm looking for this slide that I see here. Yeah, and one of the problems is supervisor turnover, social loafing, which means that working in a group, a person will decrease his or her input. Some of group members will want to be a free rider, not to work hard. Yeah. Or it may be high absenteeism or turnover, something that I face in my students group. Yeah, this is the one. Okay. How to mitigate negative factors? Well, of course, selection of team members. Were the team members of my student group selected? Probably no. And second way to avoid negative factors is to train of team members. Well, this is not applicable to student group. Yeah. But for groups in organization, yeah, this is a good tool, and this is actually responsibility of any manager. Well, you have these guidelines in your textbooks, guidelines for leading teams. And we discussed that common interests and values that enhance group cohesiveness and group performance. A manager can use different ceremonies, rituals, symbols to develop this we feeling, to develop group identification. In my MBA program, we have some of these ceremonies, like 1st of September, we have some activities, team building activities. Then we do some social initiatives together at least twice a year. We have graduation ceremonies with singing a song about MBA and having a presentation of photos collected during 2 years of studies. So this helps to develop this we feeling. Encouraging and facilitating social interacting. Well, informing the group about its performance, about its achievements. A manager can conduct process analysis section. This is good. Well, increase incentives for mutual cooperation. And use after activity reviews. So to facilitate collective learning. In MBA program, we work as a team. I mean me, myself, and my MBA managers. So after every activity, we make a very short session answering the questions, what went well and what could have been done better. So we try to learn from every experience and to become better. Now let's go back to group development stages. This model was suggested by psychologist Bruce Tuckman. So he came up with description of group development stages to show team development and team behaviors. So in this model, a group goes through 5 stages, although some group might get stuck in the 2nd stage or might not go through all the 5 stages. So a forming stage, group members have just met and they're getting to know each other. They're getting oriented. Their common goal is still being realized, and at this stage, so the group is not productive yet. In the storming stage, role of each group member becomes more clear, and members start finding that they have some common goals. On this stage, some differences in perceptions, in personalities, in the way of thinking are evident, and some level of conflict is there. Yeah. Next stage is the norming stage. Members now recognize and appreciate each other's strengths. Conflicts are resolved, and there is occasional conflict, but everyone is working and they are proceeding to achieve their goals. The next stage is performing stage. The group is cohesive and supporting each other. It concentrates on solving problems and on completing the tasks, on maximizing the results. And the last stage is a journeying stage, when, say, the project is completed and the group members compare to disband. This can be characterized by, well, some sadness, because group members have developed friendship with each other, and now they are sad because their team is being over and they have to say goodbye. So how can this be used by managers to move the group faster to norming and performing stage? Actually, a manager can practice the exercise that is called the Drucker exercise. I will share the website. Where is it? I'm not sure. I am going to find it. Just a second. Well, you know Peter Drucker, a famous scholar in management who wrote a number of books. So one of his books, the title of the book is Managing Oneself, and I do recommend to read. It's a good book. In this book, Drucker suggests that you use a number of questions, yeah, that are really good. And there is a specific format how this can be done, but I just want to walk you through these questions, trying to, yeah, this one probably. So you see the screen, right, Esther?
Yeah.
So yeah, good. Yeah, this is the Drucker exercise. So 4 simple questions. What am I good at? How do I perform? What do I value? And what contribution, how can I contribute to the project? And each of team members goes through answering these questions. You can do this just for your own, to understand better your own specifics. And it can be anything. Don't spend a lot of time on this, just a few minutes. So what are your top strengths? Are you an excellent listener or an excellent communicator, natural diplomat, or you get things done, or you can follow through? You are very attentive to details. You bring order to chaos. Just any 3 things that you are good at. Then you move to the next question. How do I perform? How do you prefer to perform? You may write, I work well in the morning, or I work better when there's music playing. I use to-do lists. I like eliminating waste. I'm a minimalist. I don't like being micromanaged, or I dislike office politics. Any 3 things that come to your mind. The next question to ask yourself, what are your values? What are your values? What do you stand for? Doing a quality job, or having fun? I like this. Probably this is one of my values. Or being trusted, or continuous self-learning, continuous improving, doing a quality job, any three things that come to your mind. Next is, how can you contribute to the project? What can you deliver? So just-in-time analysis, or you can do a realistic plan. You have a wonderful user experience, and this can contribute to the project. These three things, yeah. And then there is the so-called Drucker quadrant. Let me see if I have this. Well, I think you can find this on internet, and then you think how you can use this, how this helps to improve group behavior on different stages, on different group stages. In the forming stage, yeah, the goal is for team members to get to know each other. So if they share this makes this stage shorter. Well, in the storming stage, sharing this information can reconcile some differences, can clarify expectations in the group. So these questions are applicable to every stage of group development, and they help to understand group behavior better and to move the group faster to more productive stages of group development. Well, I think you have some idea of the Drucker exercise, and you can practice doing this on your own or with your team. Probably you are a team leader on some project. You can use this. It's a good tool, as well as fishbone analysis to understand a conflict situation, to prepare information for decision making, and the Drucker exercise to work with your team and to move it faster to more advanced stages of group development.